How you doing, guys? It's the Lord Among Us from RuleTheWasteland.com. There's a lot of reasons why being alive today is pretty awesome, and one of those reasons is flashlight technology. I've always liked flashlights, but back in the day when I was growing up, they were pretty shitty. I mean, you have old school mag lights that were as big around as a soda can and 12 inches long that put out less power and brightness than today's flashlights, which are barely bigger than the batteries that power them. And most of that's due to LED technology, because the batteries are the same, maybe they last a little longer, but most of that's due to the fact that it's not a traditional incandescent bulb in there. It's an LED bulb. You get a lot more juice, a lot longer lasting, they're a lot less fragile, and there's just some awesome flashlights that have been coming out in the past 5 or so years. Now, there are different types of flashlight people. There's people who like flashlight, and then there's flashlight people. I am a flashlight person who's trying to force myself into the just people who like flashlights category, so I don't have to go out there and buy all these $150 flashlights. And that's the good part about the technology today, is that there's a lot of flashlights out there now that for normal people who actually just want a flashlight to use and aren't flashlight files, who aren't just interested in flashlights but just want a good flashlight for use around the house, preparedness purposes, tactical stuff, whatever. There's a lot of options out there in like the $15 to $25 range. And one of those that was sent to me just recently to try out is a series of flashlights by the brand Thorfire. The Thorfire PF02 and the Thorfire PF01. They're a series of AAA powered flashlights, I would consider them pocket flashlights. They're each the same diameter. The PF2 is a little bit longer as it holds 2 AAAs, and the PF1 is obviously is shorter, only about 4 inches long, and it is powered by 1 AAA. So we'll go in order. We'll start with the PF1. This is a great pocket-sized flashlight. It's made out of aircraft-grade aluminum. It's powered by a Cree XPE LED with 100,000 hour runtime. Probably even last longer than that, because they don't tend to typically just fail. There's nothing about them that fails or burns out in the way that typical incandescent bulbs used to do with their filaments. So they're nice and lightweight, but still incredibly strong, being made out of aluminum. The pocket clip here can be taken off. If you want, you can just pop it off, and it swivels around on the back so you can adjust it. It's got a nice kind of bezel on there that you could use as a punch or something in a self-defense situation if you needed to, and it also protects the reflector in there with that little bit of a raised crown on the edge. And it's got some knurling there on the design of the body so that you can hold on to it a little bit better, and it's perfect size so that when you're gripping a fist, at least with my size fist, I don't have small hands, but I don't have incredibly large hands either. It'll still poke out either side. And this one only weighs about 33 grams, which is very lightweight, and that's without the battery. The battery doesn't add much weight. It's powered by a rubber thumb switch on the back. And that was one thing. I've made a video before about one of my favorite flashlights, which was the Maritac AAA. The only real thing that I didn't like about that, well, actually there was 2 things. One was that it was sometimes almost too small, because like I said, like with this where you can hold it in a useful position, the other one was so small that it was just almost hard to hold on to in a lot of situations. You couldn't even do something like this, if you had your gun. And so there was a lot of things that you couldn't do with it because it was almost too small. It's good for packing away, but for actually using it was fairly small. The other one was you had to swivel the bezel to actually get the light to turn on and off or to switch modes. So that required 2 hands most of the time. Sometimes you could hold it like this and spin, but that's awkward. These have a thumb switch on the back, which I find is a lot more practical. They are slightly bigger, but I mean, how small do these things really need to be? It's as big as my finger. You could put this anywhere. So I think this is obviously, it's cool to have them even smaller, not normally necessary unless you're trying to do like a micro kit. So that's pretty good. And it has 3 modes. It has the high, I'll show you in a second, I'll turn the lights down, but it has a high, a low, and a strobe. I couldn't find information on either the lumen level or the total number of hours that it would run off a normal battery. Those aren't listed on Amazon, but again, that's the type of stuff that the flashlight people are normally interested in. When you're talking about a normal person who just likes flashlights, you're not gonna be like, well, this one runs for 600 hours, this one runs for 120 hours. When you're talking about one single LED and a AAA battery, it's gonna run plenty amount of time. Just make sure you have some batteries lying around. I would estimate it to be at least in the 100 lumen range, just a guesstimate, and maybe as high as 150. The PF2 is brighter than the PF1 because it has more juice, but they're both plenty bright for most situations that you know, an average person or even a prepper or a tactical person would need. Most of the stuff beyond a flashlight like this is just because you enjoy it, not because you really need it, other than like very specific situations where you may want a spotlight of some kind. And these both do tend to have a spotlight type of projection, which is not a flood. And most of the time, that's what you want, is just a basic spotlight and not just a massive flood. But that's a preference issue. These tend to be more of a spotlight beam. Not any really artifacts in the beam, if you want to get technical. You know, they're pretty smooth. So the reflectors are good in that sense. And like I said, I'll show you on the wall in the back. The next one is the PF2. And as you can see, it's only about 50% longer, maybe not even, 30% or so. And it's identical in form and function, except for the fact that it takes 2 batteries. So everything else about it is the same 3 modes, same thumb switch in the back, same pocket clip, same aircraft aluminum, same Cree LED. It just has a longer body and 2 batteries. So in that sense, they're exactly the same. So honestly, for most people, unless you're specifically going for a small carry flashlight, I'd probably opt for the bigger one, just because the big one is still fairly small. It's about the size of a Sharpie or something, or a highlighter. So you could still easily stick this in a pocket, put it on your nightstand, whatever, and you're gonna get a little more brightness and a little more juice out of that. But if you really just wanted a small kit for in your car, whatever, then maybe go with this one. Or you wanted to hold it maybe like this, you know, when you're shooting your guns, then the longer one may be a little more awkward for that. But other than that, I really do like these flashlights. So one thing, the only real negative thing I have to say about that, and it's just me being picky, is the way that the model numbers are put on there, where it says PF2, is just kind of looks like a floor model, like you stole the floor model and it's not really supposed to be written on there like that. Because if you look at the Thorfire logo, it's fine. It's written on there with its, you know, its design, but this looks like it's stamped like you stole it from a military truck or something, or stole their floor model. So it's a little awkward, but other than, I mean, does that really matter for anything? And so there you have it. I'm gonna go ahead and use my handy little tool here to cut my lights off. This is the PF1 in high mode, and as you can see, you can click it into high mode, or you can just activate the button by just turning it on momentarily. So I haven't clicked it yet. I'm just holding the button down, and you can switch to low mode. Oh, I'm sorry, that was low mode. And then you can switch to strobe. Then we have the PF2 in high mode, low mode, and strobe. And I think it defaults back to high mode once you turn it back on. So we have high in the PF2, high in the PF1. So they're fairly similar, but as you can see, the PF2 here, which I'm moving right now, is brighter. Not a whole lot brighter, but it is brighter. And they have a fairly good, just standard spotlight type shape to the beam without any real artifacts, you know, in the beam. Nothing that would be distracting or cause any weird shadows or distortions. So those are low modes on both of them. Those are more similar, but it looks like right now that the PF1 actually is slightly brighter in low mode, but then it looks like it may just be because it's more of a focused beam, and the halo on the PF2 is a little larger, so it's more diffuse. And then that's strobe mode on both of these. If you need it for self-defense or a signaling device, you know, if you're on a raft or something. So my light's back on. With that being said, these both appear to be great flashlights. I've been using these for about 2 months now, and they're great. Have it on the nightstand with the rest of my gear in case I need to get up in the middle of the night and kill someone, or go to the bathroom, or take my whining dog outside. It works for any of those things, and that's why I mentioned that flashlights like these are great for the people who are like, yeah, I really like having a flashlight that just works. Don't have to worry about bulbs and batteries all the time, but I don't want to have to pay 150, 200 bucks for a 1,000 lumen awesome flashlight. Like, a lot of us think that's really cool, but we're not going to be spending 250 bucks on a flashlight anytime soon. We just want one that is reliable, has a couple interesting features, uses normal batteries, and is going to be there working for us when we need it, and only cost $15 or so. And I think that's about the price range for these. I think the PF1 is about 15 or 16 bucks on Amazon, and the PF2 I think is about 20, but I'll have a link in the description below where you can check those out on Amazon. But if you guys just don't have, if you guys want a solid LED flashlight and you don't know where to or what to pick up or where to look, I would recommend just picking up one of these, because I haven't had any issues with them. So I mean, you're not going to impress somebody who's a super flashlight person, but you're certainly not going to have any issues either. So, I mean, if you just need a solid flashlight that's going to work in a variety of applications and use normal batteries, then you can check out the Thorfire PF01 and PF02. Let me know if you guys have had any experience with these and what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later.